This content has been brought to you by my day ones. If you want to support this channel, you can head over to Patreon at villainus_music. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Overthrow Media, your best place for politics, hip-hop, and life. It's your fam, your nigga, your homie, Big Villainous. We're about to talk about Judas and the Black Messiah when we come right back. Blaming our skin for your insignificance, aiming your stick at us, no hesitance. Truth is, fam, you brought the pestilence. Look inside your house and go and handle that shit, bitch. So, Judas and the Black Messiah is based off a true story of Fred Hampton, or really, the traitor that assassinated him, or helped assassinate him, drugging him in his sleep. But let's get to the root of the problem. The U.S. government, I guess? Let's break down a little bit better than that. J. Edgar Hoover. J. Edgar Hoover, who is rumored to be 1/8 black, by the way, had a special hate for our people. A special violence that he saw because we were a threat. Our liberation was a threat to the American way of life, to quote J. Edgar Hoover. He waged a vicious war against our community, against the black community. He was targeting what he called the Black Messiahs. These black leaders, black kings that would raise up and free us from our shackles. He saw it as an imminent threat to the American society, the American way of life, the white way of life. So him, along with the rest of the government, hatched a little plan. This plan is lovely known as COINTELPRO, the counterintelligence program. See, what people don't realize a lot with this movie is this is real life, right? This really happened. Fred Hampton as well as William O'Neill were real people. In the movie, not in real life, but the movie, William O'Neill busts into the bar with a badge out claiming to be the FBI, saying he was looking for someone who owned this one specific vehicle, that it was stolen. So as he cuffed him, they noticed how young he was. And then he had to break out, try to steal the car, and they came for his ass. After this is where fiction meets reality, right? That was a contrived storyline, but that's okay, it's Hollywood. They take a little creative license. But the reality of him getting pulled over and snatched up, that was very real. The reality of getting a bargain with the devil was very real. Roy was also a very real person. And he worked directly under, as they show in the movie, J. Edgar Hoover. So what does that do with COINTELPRO? Well, COINTELPRO, with the counterintelligence program, played multiple roles. One of which you see in the movie as they spread propaganda to divide the black community, to break up Chairman Fred's efforts. They didn't do this just in Chicago, but they did this across the country. They did it between the West Coast Panthers and us, and they did it in Chicago to split up to Rainbow Coalition. Remember that. Put a pin in it real quick, like. They also inserted informants. William O'Neill was one of them. The goal was to assassinate in one way or another, to assassinate those who were the threat of becoming the Black Messiah, according to J. Edgar Hoover's own statements. There were soft assassinations, assassinations of character, bringing dirt up or spreading lies. And there were very physical assassinations. COINTELPRO program was sent to disrupt and stop these black messiahs from rising. And in this story, the story that we're talking about, that black messiah was Fred Hampton. Fred Hampton was a powerful Black Panther, took the ideals and principles that weren't seen very commonly in humanity, not even in the Panthers. He stood strong in his dedication and put pride aside. One example of this was the Rainbow Coalition. The Rainbow Coalition isn't the assemble of Uncle Toms that exists now, but a whole different concept, unifying based off shared struggle. So when we see him, for example, walk into a room full of white people, rednecks, with a Confederate flag on the wall, you're like, how could you even entertain this conversation, right? They're fucking white supremacists. But Fred took the moment to be like, nah, the police are the same police that beat us. They're the same police that beat you. The same job that shits on us is the same job that shits on you. The same landlord that exploits you is the same landlord that exploits us. He pointed out quickly that we have more in common than difference. Within that, we saw the young patriots come over to the movement towards black liberation because they realized and comprehended that black liberation is the only way that they were going to get liberated, and that we have more in common than we have separate. But a really important thing that we must understand about what he was doing there, he was not proposing that on the terms of white folks. He was proposing that on our terms. But he thought about what they really seeked. By exploring what they were really seeking and how we had that in common, he was able to find those alliances. Not just with them, but with gangs like the Crowns, the Young Lords, the Red Guard. This alliance was a powerful alliance of those of the oppressed stepping up to their oppressor. And you know, they just couldn't have that, right? Not only were they trying to get rid of Fred Hampton, but they were trying to smear his name by saying he robbed somebody for some ice cream so they could incarcerate him. Framed because he's a threat to the stability of white supremacy, of white nationalism. All through this, William O'Neill, Bill O'Neill, whatever you want to call him, is slithering his way deeper into the Panthers. Don't get it wrong. I see his humanity. I see all the chances he had to turn around, but he never turned around. So he's a snake. He's a traitor. This is what it is. But as he's slithering his way deeper into the organization and doing his informant shit, he runs across another informant. And this brings me to the lessons that some of these things are speaking. Because we shouldn't see this movie just as a movie, just as entertainment or just as history. This movie leaves some degree of a roadmap for us to follow, for us to see. And one thing that's important to think about is false jacketing. What is false jacketing, you might ask? It's when people bring false allegations against people. That's what a jacket is, right? Whatever choices you make, you wear as a jacket. You put a false jacket on somebody, you frame them for something. Now, what we see with false jacketing in this situation is we see an actual other informant false jacket a panther, which then they torture, trigger warning, by throwing acid on them, by burning them until they admit to something they didn't do, which is be an informant, and then they murder them and throw them in the water. Think about, though, that this action was signed off and approved by the U.S. government to frame an innocent black man, murder them, so their informant could go to all the stash houses so they could bust them. False jacketing is no joke. It was one of the weaknesses that the feds were able to exploit. So when we talk about allegations and situations like that, we must take those with care. Because then they put a jacket on somebody must be taken seriously. People should be very careful how they move forward. Yes, seek accountability, but also be wary of how you step. Because the worst thing you can do is make a mistake in those situations. If false allegations are proven to be false, the consequences of that should be that of what would have been perpetrated against the people who were falsely accused. But again, we must tread carefully, because this is not an easy thing one way or another. And I feel like I see in political circles us continue, despite the lessons of history, to be reckless with those things instead of cautious, instead of seeing that the state can manipulate us, that enemy organizations can manipulate us. So take it seriously, move on it, but tread carefully. Make sure that we know the facts before we make a decision. One thing I noticed about William O'Neill, Bill O'Neill's whole experiences is very much like deals with the devil. And as much as he is Judas, it makes me realize, if I didn't already realize. Okay, oh, all right, I already realized that. I'm not gonna bullshit y'all. I'm playing, trying to be dramatic right now, but no, for real. The U.S. government is the devil. J. Edgar Hoover was the devil. A shining white devil that hated the Nubian onyx colored skin that he feared so much because, let's be honest, he afraid it may have flowed through his bloodstreams. And it may go and strip him from his privilege that he's gained through his fascism. And this devil, the U.S. government, has a particular hate for us, for our people. Just like J. Edgar Hoover had this very, very specific hate for us. And he used that hate to leverage against our people, to turn against our people. Rewarding them with the gas stations. We reached the tragedy of treason. William O'Neill, wasn't just a snitch, wasn't just an informant, he was a traitor. He's not a traitor just because there's a possibility that he slipped drugs in the Fred Hampton string. He's not just a traitor because he broke weak. He's a traitor because even after he saw the direction it was going, even after he understood how wrong he was, he doubled down for it. He didn't step back and step up to be accountable for his mistakes. He didn't value his people more than he valued himself. You know, individualism. It's a hell of a thing. In the end, it left him a broken man, a destroyed man, all the way till his death 21 years later. The day after, he gave an interview describing what it is that he did and trying to justify it. I remember a specific part in this interview where he said, "I am not an armchair revolutionary." He said he was a real one. How? You were a real counter-revolutionary. Nah, not even that. You were Benedict. You were Judas. I'm usually about respecting dead. I usually don't want to speak evil on them, but you can't fight against the interests of people and for the most vicious imperialist nation that's ever existed, that built its very structure in opposition to us, and get my respect in any way. People make mistakes, but that was more than a mistake. That was a life choice. That wasn't just one choice. That was 1,000 choices that William made, that Bill made. Anyways, thanks for tuning in. It's good to talk about this movie with y'all and the reality behind it. Let me know in the comment section if you knew that this was a real story. Let me know what you knew about the Black Panthers. Make sure to hit that like I said, leave a comment, hit subscribe, hit that bell to stay notified. You can follow me on all of my socials, villainus_music on Instagram, Twitter, SoundCloud, TikTok, Patreon. Shit, even got myself a Twitch now. I don't use it much though, I'm gonna be 100 with you. Also, yeah, like I said, tap into that Patreon if you want to support me on a monthly basis, you feel me? Keep these lights on, keep this content coming out. Also, if you want something you can take home, you can cop some of my dope ass Teespring merch. Alright, I'm out, y'all. Much love, stay strong. Deuces.
But when I leave, you can remember I said with the last words on my lips that I am a revolutionary. And you're going to have to keep on saying that. You're going to have to say that I am a proletarian. I am the people. I'm not the pig. You got to make a distinction. And the people are going to have to attack the pigs. The people are going to have to stand up against the pigs.
I am the revolutionary. I am the revolutionary. Walking through the crease and the cracks of the streets, struggling for some food and a bed to sleep, while trying to cause overthrow. I'm feeling weak, ideology buff, overgrown, I'm meek, but I